Chaz Lanier found himself in the spotlight during the NBA's Summer League, the 37th overall pick for the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons getting a nice pure shooter out of the VFL. Paige Dauer alongside Eric Vincent of ClutchPoints. He's a beat reporter for the Detroit Pistons. So has a nice close-up look on Chaz Lanier right here on the Sports Page. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I think you got me beat in the background stuff. I got to expand my game a little bit. All I got is the on air side. I got to step my game up.
Hey, I'll one up you again. My mom and I actually put up the shelving too. We drilled
Oh,
into
okay.
the wall. Yeah.
Shout out to
So,
mom. There we go. Okay.
so blood, sweat,
Cool.
and tears, sweat
There we
equity,
go.
as they
There it
say.
is. I love it. Thanks for
Yes,
having me.
of course. A fun trip for you getting to go to Las Vegas to cover the Summer League, and of course the Pistons and one of the newest members in Chaz Lanier was there. Obviously, as ball fans and people who have followed Tennessee for a while know what the Pistons are getting out of Chaz Lanier. What were your initial reactions actually seeing him suited up on the court?
Yeah, there was a lot of anticipation to check him out, and I think he lived up to a lot of the billing. I think he had 14 points in the game that I checked him out against the Rockets. And what I love most about him is that he shoots in a wide variety of sets, which I'm sure you know already. Obviously, he has the 3-point shot down, has range too. He's able to shoot, I think, from a few steps back, which he actually shot a few deep threes during summer league, during college as well. Has a little bit of that mid-range game. I've heard a lot of comparisons to his shot looking to do. I've heard Allen Houston, Ray Allen, and I kind of see some of the similarities in the quick release in his shot. I think he really is going to offer a lot to this team. I love how he came out. He looks really confident with the shot as well, and gave a lot of effort on defense as well, which is something that the Pistons hang their hat on. So he gave a lot of good impressions in summer league, especially knowing that they're going to need some of that 3-point shooting to kind of suffice for no more Tim Hardaway, no more Malik Beasley. So it's going to be an opportunity for him to get some key minutes for the Pistons this season, and he did a good job with the audition, I think, with summer league so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I know he had a bit of a quieter debut with the Pistons, but that second, third-ish game, I believe it was probably his strongest game where he poured in like 14 points. He had 8 in the first quarter alone. I believe that was against the Rockets where you all won 98-83. What do you remember maybe from his performance in that game, which I would say was probably his best performance unless you're thinking it's another game?
Yeah, no, I think that was the standout performance for sure. The Pistons have done a really good job of, especially during summer league, they did a really good job of playing defense early and kind of taking advantage of some of the turnovers. Um, I think what we saw from Chaz, which I think is going to project well when he gets to the regular season, is a lot of the offense predicated through Ron Holland, who's their second year forward. And he did a really good job of being a bit of a playmaker where he was, slashing, get into the lane, and then finding open guys for shots. And Chaz was a recipient of a few of those activities as well. So knowing that you have Cade Cunningham with the Detroit Pistons, all NBA, all star level player, Jaden Ivey returning back from injury, Asar Thompson is a really creative playmaker. I think there's enough support around Chaz that game of his 3-point shooting and his floor spacing is going to be able to translate as soon as I think really early for the Detroit Pistons based on what they need. Yeah, I like his potential a lot. I think it's going to be a perfect fit for what this roster needs.
Yeah, I think ball fans will love hearing that last part. In his final season, of course, at Tennessee and with Rick Barnes, part of where he needed to grow the most was maybe getting an early paint touch so that would open up a 3-point look for him. I know there were a couple of moments where he had a nice mid-range jumper working through traffic in a couple of those games. What did you like about his ability to maybe be a multi-level scorer for the Pistons?
Yeah, I noticed a lot of that in my film session watching him in college as well. Like, yeah, again, the 3-point shot is there, the distance shooting is there, but it's not just strictly off of catch and shoot. You see a lot of young guys when they come in the league kind of struggle with their dribble or with their hand a little bit. I saw a pretty confident feel in terms of that with Chaz's game. Now, again, it's just summer league and it could look a little different in regular season, but as of right now, I like the confidence. I think that's one of the key things that coaches and front offices want to see from their young guys. And just knowing that he had that ability to do so, I think is going to be a really good thing that the Pistons are looking forward to when they get to take a hand of him. So even knowing JB Biggerstaff, I think he does a really good job of bringing out the best, especially of young players. Looking at the Pistons roster, I mean, they do have veterans who've come in and out of their rotations. They've basically prioritized the development of their young guys, and seeing how Cade has come along, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, even with Ron Holland, who had a fantastic summer league. I think Chaz basically has kind of that same chance and ability to kind of be one of those guys to take the NBA by storm or show a lot of people that he can produce sooner than later based on the foundation and the identity that this team has set. So yeah, I liked his ability to kind of step in as a paint toucher. Again, it wasn't the most consistent in terms of finishing, but I like that the sheer confidence is there early because you see guys pass up those kind of shots early, and I think he'll have a lot of that confidence poured into him by his coaching staff and his teammates.
He wasn't really required to be a huge defensive guy a season ago. Of course, there was Jemai Mashak and Zakai Zeigler who were leading the nation in their defensive abilities. But would you say now in this new team that that might be one of the areas that he does need to see improvement on?
Yeah, Pistons don't play about defense. That is what they hang their hat on. That's become their identity.
I'm VFL Chris Brown. Experience the VW brand proudly being produced in the great state of Tennessee. Harper Volkswagen is a proud partner of Tennessee Athletics. Go Vols.
It was that in their championship days and, 89, 90, 2004. And they're looking to do the exact same thing now under JB Bickerstaff. They're going to demand it out of him. And Chaz spoke to wanting to buy into that as well when he was drafted, which is a good thing. So, again, I also think a positive about that, even though he may not, be a lockdown guy on ball at the moment. I don't think he'll have to necessarily be that, if he's going to be playing in the second unit. It's not like he's going to have to be guarding guys like Tyrese Maxey or, a Jason Tatum, a guy like that. He'll be able to kind of get his feet wet against the second string guys and maybe some other role players he'll be guarding. Like, I don't think he'll have to be matched up against a Steph Curry or anything of this like that. So I also think knowing how the Pistons play, I think their top two defenders have been Cade Cunningham and Asar Thompson. I think when you have guys like Ivy and Chaz next to them, they'll be able to play passing lanes. And I think that's something that the Pistons prioritize a lot. They have rim protection on Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren. So in those kind of moments when the guys are, driving and maybe trying to kick out, that's when guys like Chaz and Ivy cash in on passing lanes and create turnovers so they can play in transition. That's something that the Pistons prioritize a lot. They're one of the elite teams in transition last season and in defensive production as well. So as long as he can kind of, get his footing in there, I think the other stuff will kind of come along with it. I also think a good thing that the Pistons have now, even though they're a young team, they're not prioritizing the young second round player like a Chaz to produce and be perfect right now. Like, Cade Cunningham had to kind of get going right away for them. Jay and Ivy kind of the same, Duren the same thing, Asar the same thing. I think you can take a little bit of time for guys like Ron and Chaz to kind of understand the game a little bit better and be patient as they're learning. So I think that's going to help him out a lot in his development.
So would you say maybe in those opening months of the next season that maybe Chaz Lanier might be in a more of a role player type of responsibility?
Definitely, yeah. I think looking at where their rotation is now. I mean, again, they have their kind of core guys set in terms of who their outside guys are with Cade, Ivy, Asar, Tobias, and Duren. They also just signed Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, so they have veterans that he can kind of take notes from and learn from. And I think a guy like Duncan Robinson will be perfect, not just from the aspect of shooting, but he does a lot of dirty work things as well, like setting off ball screens, showing how to move without the ball and score in different ways as well as a slasher and an off ball player instead of just being the predictable way that teams may be scouting for in terms of your shooting. So he'll have a lot of people around him to kind of help aid a lot of that development. The coaching staff is really good in terms of their development with their young players as well. So yeah, I think, things are going to be pointing very up for Chaz when he gets started with the Pistons.
It was something you mentioned a little bit earlier too, kind of those soft skills or off the court skills about him feeling comfortable, feeling confident. Of course, he's talked a lot about his jump from North Florida to the SEC and kind of how he's able to maintain similar production. You could maybe argue in some sense it's a similar jump to. How much do you like that in, their top pick and Chaz Lanier, that he feels so comfortable, he feels so confident already being with the team?
I loved that about it, actually. I loved seeing that he was, in a completely different situation at one school and then still be able to translate it with heavier competition going to a place like Tennessee. Especially coming off of a season where I believe what Dalton Connect was their previous guy, where he
Yeah.
already set the standard for shooting at that school and he came right in and took the baton with no problem. So I think he did a fantastic job with that. And I think that'll kind of lead into the NBA as well, where obviously it's a different animal and it's definitely going to take guys a little bit more learning to get a little bit more comfortable. Again, just being summer league, you don't want to put too much hype into it because especially with the Pistons, point we've seen a lot of guys look like stars in summer league and then take a little while to ramp up. But based on what they need and based on the confidence, I think those are the baby steps that they want to see right away. They want to see guys learn. They want to see guys, ask questions. Take those steps of growth and the buy-in that it takes to learn from a guy like JB Biggerstaff as well. The Pistons prioritize really that camaraderie more so than the talent aspect of a player, which is super important, especially when you're a rookie coming in. Like these aren't all just veterans who got signed in free agency. These are guys who are drafting into the Pistons culture and learning it from the ground up. So yeah, I think again he'll have a lot of great support around him, and I think it'll take some good time to see the best of it.
By the time this airs in a couple of days, the summer league will come to a close for the Pistons, and of course, also on the team is one VFL and Zakai Zeigler, who signed onto the summer league roster. What have you seen out of Zakai Zeigler, whether offensively, getting that buzzer beater in one of the games at the first quarter, or what he's been able to do on defense?
Yeah, he's been all over the place. The Pistons like those spark plug guys that can kind of turn the tide of the energy of the game. I think Ron Holland did a lot of that in the regular season for the Pistons, and Ziegler was doing that a lot in summer league. Very shifty guard. I like his ability to play downhill. Not the biggest guard, but he played with a lot of heart and a lot of energy, which is something that the Pistons love as well. And again, I think he helped provide a lot of that spark and energy in terms of their transition breaks that they like to play with in summer league as well. Because mostly in summer league they run some sets here and there, but for the most part they kind of just want to see what guys can do and maybe not give away too much in terms of their game books and their planning. But Ziegler did a good job. I like the way he was able to kind of set other guys up for shots, find shots of his own, and again play with that fearlessness that you want to see young guys come in with in terms of courage when they're stepping into the NBA atmosphere. So yeah, it was really encouraging to see. I'm sure Chaz enjoyed it as well. Because yeah, he definitely made a pretty good impression from what we saw.
Yeah, Eric, I was laughing when you talked about him being like one of those smaller guards. He's on the record so many times saying that he feels that he's like 6'6", and he doesn't realize that he's not anywhere near that until maybe he's around his other taller teammates. So it's funny that maybe you notice that heart or the size that he plays with.
Yeah, it's about the size of the dog. What size? How's the saying go? The size of
The
the heart of the dog,
heart, not the size of the dog.
not the size of the dog in the fight. Yeah,
That was
so
it.
yeah, it's a prime example of that. You can't be mad at it. Especially with the Pistons pedigree, like guys like Isaiah Thomas weren't always the
Yeah.
biggest guys or whatnot, or even Ben Wallace, not maybe the biggest center when he was playing. So it's good to have that chip on your shoulder, especially when you don't even realize it either. He feels like he's 6'6" on the court. Then hey, play like that, and we saw a lot of that in his spark too. It was really fun to watch him there in summer league.
Well, I know it's dying down a little bit for you, Eric, but I know you're always so busy with the Detroit Pistons. What do you have coming up on Clutch Points?
You guys are getting ready for training camp pretty soon, so I'll be definitely checking in on their practices. They have a lot of community events as well that I try to stay tapped into as well. And I like to stay involved with a lot of the guys, who have some comments on the game and watch from the outside as well. I just did a write up on ClutchPoints.com about Grant Hill's feedback and what he's seen with the Pistons and how he thinks they'll be in a wide open Eastern Conference next season. So I try to keep my ears open to everything that's going on with the team and try to stay as involved as possible. Again, all my work on ClutchPoints.com. Also have a YouTube channel as well. It's called Top Title Detroit, where I give a lot of my backstage, clips and highlights on my page as well. So try to stay as active as I can. The Pistons got a lot to look forward to. Again, it's a big season for this young core with a lot to prove. And again, in a wide open East, it's going to be very entertaining. So really excited for preseason and for the regular season to get going again.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. I appreciate your time. It's always good catching up and talking a little bit about the VFLs.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
Of course.